Lesson number 78 is about rational equations, and rational equations just refer to equations that have a ratio within them, and we know that a ratio is exactly the same thing as a fraction. So when we see the word rational equations, we just know that it means there's going to be fractions involved. Now in this problem, we've got y over 2 plus 1/4 equals y over 6. What we need to do is figure out what y is equal to. That's what it means to solve it. So we can box this, and we can figure that out as we go. Now, what we want to do in this is slightly different than what we've done before when we've worked with fractions in the past. What we want to do is we want to multiply all of our terms by the least common denominator. So let's write that out. If we multiply all the terms by the least common denominator, LCD, then we're going to be able to figure out what our answer is in just a couple steps. So let's work through that problem now. We've got y over 2 plus 1/4 equals y over 6. Our least common denominator of 2, 4, and 6. The least common multiple of 2, 4, and 6, well, that must be 12. So what we're going to do, instead of rewriting everything, is we're going to multiply 12 times y over 2 plus 12 times 1/4 is equal to 12 times y over 6. Now what we know is 12 is really the same as 12 over 1. So if we have 12 over 1, that can tell us how we multiply everything. So if we go through our multiplication, we're going to get 12 times y, that's 12y, over 1 times 2 is 2, plus 12 times 1 is 12 over 4, equals 12y, because 12 times y is just 12y, 1 times 6 is 6. And now the nice thing about working this problem this way is we can now simplify in order to find our answer. Because 12 divided by 2 is 6, so we get 6y, plus 12 divided by 4, that's 3, is going to be equal to 12 divided by 6 is 2, so we get 2y. And now we can find our answer in just one step. We're going to subtract 6y from both sides, and that's going to help us to find out what y must be equal to. So 3 is equal to 2y minus 6y, that must be negative 4y, and then we'll divide both sides by negative 4. So if we rewrite, we can see it. 3 is equal to negative 4 times y, and we're going to divide that by negative 4. We're going to divide by negative 4. Negative 4's cancel. We have y is equal to 3 over negative 4. We've got our answer. Y is equal to 3/4, and the whole thing is negative. So we can put that as our answer. Y is equal to negative 3/4. The key here, multiply all terms by LCD, the least common denominator. And if you wanted to write out step 2 would be solve. Solve the equation. Solve the equation. Let's look at a couple more like this so we can practice. Here we have 2x over 7 minus 3x over 2 equals 1/3. So the least common denominator of 7, 2, and 3. Well, the least common denominator of 7 and 2 would be 14. The least common denominator of 7 and 3 would be 21. Unfortunately, 21 is an odd number. So if we double it, then we'll be able to figure out a common denominator. Happens to be the least common denominator here as well. The least common denominator, if we double 21, that's 42. So what we're going to do, step 1, we're going to multiply all of our terms by 42. So we're going to say 42 over 1 times 2x over 7 minus 42 over 1 times 3x over 2 is going to be equal to 42 over 1 times 1/3. Now, step 2, do you remember step 2? It was to solve. And let's do that. 42 times 2x. Well, double 42, you get 84. We've got 84x over 7 minus 42 times 3. That must be 126 over 2. And this was 126x is equal to 42 over 3. And now let's go ahead and simplify. If we go ahead and simplify this, we'll find out what our answer is. 84 divided by 7. Well, 84 divided by 7. If you know what 84 divided by 7 is, write it down now. 84 divided by 7, do you remember? 7 goes into 8 one time. We've got 7 with 14 left over. I hope you remember this one. It's 12. So we've got 12x minus half of 126. That must be 63x is equal to 42 divided by 3. Well, what is 42 divided by 3? 42 divided by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time. We get 3 with 12 left over. Well, 3 goes into 12 4 times. We get 14. So we've got 14. Now we can go ahead and solve. 12x minus 63x. That must be negative 51x equals 14. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 51. I think we can squeeze that in here. Divide both sides by negative 51, and we've got our answer. X is equal to negative 14 over 51. We can go ahead and box that. My 5 kind of looks like a 6 there. I'm going to correct that, just so it's easy to read. I undid 1 too many times, but we can correct that. And we've got our final answer. X is equal to negative 14 over 51. Let's look at our next example. Now here we have one, and instead of just having everything be multiplied together, this problem has x plus 1, and then over here it has 2x minus 9. So the terms look a little bit bigger. Now in order to do this problem, we need to multiply by the least common denominator. So let's multiply by that. 4, 2, and 10. Well, the least common multiple of those three numbers must be 20. So we're going to get 20 times x plus 1 over 4 minus 20 times 3 over 2. And that's going to be equal to 20 times 2x minus 9 over 10. Now here's the trick in this problem. You might be tempted to multiply 20 times x plus 1 using the distributive property, but don't. Don't do it. Don't do it, because 20 divided by 4 is going to tell us what our new answer is. 20 divided by 4, that's 5. So we're going to get 5 times x plus 1 minus 20 divided by 2, that's 10. And we're going to get 10 times 3 is equal to 20 divided by 10, that's 2. And 2x minus 9 is what we need to multiply that by. So let's go ahead and figure out our answer. We're going to get 5x plus 5 after we use the distributive property minus 30 is going to be equal to 4x minus 18. Now to solve, we'll subtract 4x from both sides. And we're going to be left with 1x. And in this problem, let's do things a little bit differently. We can subtract 5 and we can subtract 5. So we can help take care of one step at a time. So if we do that, well, negative 18 minus 5, that's going to give us an answer of negative 23. And then we could have also done this at the same time, add 30. But let's do that in the next step. Minus 30. So we're going to add 30 to both sides and figure out our final answer. Well, we can see x must be equal to, and we've got negative 23 plus 30, that's 7. So x is equal to 7. That's our final answer. Even though this problem looked like the most complex in the beginning, it actually was the only one that gave us a whole number answer. Our lesson practice will be on page 321. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.